Once upon a time, many years ago from today, there lived a young girl who believed in everything magical. Magical. So here I am, just coming back from school, and it was pouring that afternoon. And those little eyes, those twinkling eyes, which were wandering here and there, glimpsed upon this one auntie, old auntie on the road. I went back home that day. I got a bag, an oversized bag, filled it with every possible goodie that I had, caught hold of an umbrella, and told my mother, "Amake niye jao auntie kache. Take me to that auntie." Since then, so now this little girl, she grew up and she was in college, final semester, waiting for placements, that one day she's going to get a job. Finally, now finally we'll get onto a job. We'll send some money back home and with the rest, kya karenge? Party. That was my aim in life. But God had other plans. And I got to meet this one guy through a documentary and he changed my life. For those of y'all who may be wondering who this chap is, his name is Nero. Nero was an emperor in the ancient Roman Empire. Mighty rich. You see, he would win one war after the other, and one day Nero wins the biggest battle of his life. And when you win, what do? You celebrate. So he decided to throw a party and he invited the who's who of Tinseltown. He invited kings and queens, princes and princesses from across 7 kingdoms. And as evening befell, Nero said, "Boss, we need some lights to make the party happening and rocking." So he decided to burn waste, kachra, to generate light. He decided to burn the prisoners of war and the poor people who were captured, who he considered not more than waste. I was 22 then. Sitting in that classroom while my friends walked out, I was there for the next 3 hours contemplating as to what just happened, what did I see? Which is when I realized that the problem was not Nero. You could equate Nero with atrocities, injustice, discrimination, all the not so nice things that exist in this world that will always exist. But you know what the problem was? The problem was Nero's guests, as to how thousands of them could sing, dance, drink when fellow human beings burned and died. And at that point of time, that 22-year-old realized that I was one of Nero's guests. That is, if you feel something about anything, and if you're not willing to take action, then you've taken a side, and unfortunately, that side is that of the oppressor. I decided I cannot sit for college placements, and started on the journey of finding myself somewhere. While I was growing up, I was fortunate to be brought up by this stellar lady, my grandmother, and she had a disability. She always required support in walking, which was one aspect to her, but she was a million other things, and that's what I grew up believing in. Contrary to when I went out into the world, it was very confusing as to how a person's disability, and disability alone, can define the livelihood opportunities they have, the friends they find, the love they find. So while I decided I will not sit for college placements, I started volunteering with these amazing organizations that work in the disability inclusion space, trying to understand whether what I think is correct or is the larger world correct somewhere? Do I have to learn something reverse? So while working with these organizations, there's one thing I realized. So I'm a mother to a 2.5-year-old and a 3-month-old. So I have 2 kids. And generally when we conceive, what do we say? We want a healthy baby. What does a healthy baby mean? What does it mean? A baby without a disability? The problem is not that there are over 70 million people with disabilities in India. There is over 7 crore people with disabilities in India and over 1 billion people with disabilities across the world. That statistics is not the problem. What I realized was that the problem was the larger statistics. And you know what that was? That was the disability in the perceptions of the community that stopped us from seeing the magic in their abilities, and I wanted to challenge and change just that. I needed a common denominator that could connect all of y'all, that could connect people to people. And what better than food to do that? So food as a medium to do two simple things. One is money should enter the accounts of these amazing people that you see here in front of you. But second, more importantly, being able to create awareness about inclusion with every meal or beverage that we serve. So I started Mitti with zero startup capital, so khali jeb, empty pockets, failed sales attempts, multiple rejections. I remember I was rejected at this idea of Mitti Cafe was rejected at every incubation center across the country, which is when the Deshpande Foundation in Hubli said, hey, you can come, you can start something in Hubli. Money we can't give you immediately. Networks we will see, but what we can give you is something that you might need. I said, bataiye, what is it? They gave me something that proved to be the turning point for where we are today. So they said, we have a go down, and they gave me a disclaimer, /challenge, that is full of generations of rats. Would you want to make that into your first cafe? And I said, yes. So after college, much to the despair of my beloved parents, instead of going back to Calcutta, Bodhiya Bistar Bandha, and I went back to Hubli. I went to Hubli, a place which was new to me. I started Mitti with zero startup capital, as I mentioned, multiple sales attempts and rejections. And you see, this is important, when you don't have anything, that's the time you're your strongest. And you know why? You have nothing to lose. So when I didn't have money to start my first cafe, what did I do? I went from door to door, shop to shop, house to house, asking who? The community. People I didn't know, to join the movement of inclusion. So right from our spoons, second-hand oven, tissue papers, this table, that umbrella, half umbrella that you see here, were all donated by absolute strangers, by the community. And it was the community that helped us start our first cafe. This girl that you see here, I remember the first day she came in for the interview, she came in crawling. Because at that point of time, her family could not afford a wheelchair. She came in crawling. You would give her this clicker, her hands would shake and it would fall. Today, the same girl, sitting on her wheelchair, she manages 10 other people with disability. She's the manager for our first cafe and her name is Kirti. As I talk to you, we have hundreds and thousands of Kirtis across the multiple Mitti cafes that we have today. From that small table and an umbrella, today we are the world's largest chain of cafes to be completely managed by adults with physical, intellectual, and psychiatric disabilities. And as I mentioned, sustainable livelihoods, okay. But how many? 100 Mitti cafes, 10,000 people employed, 50,000 trained, doesn't move the needle. 7 crore people plus people with disabilities only in India. So how do we move the needle? We move the needle through creating awareness about inclusion with every meal or beverage that these amazing people serve, and they are our change makers in the forefront, having served over 21.8 million meals. And all of these have been done by our team members with disabilities. We might recognize this amazing gentleman in the middle, Mr. Narayan Murthy, one of the founders of Infosys, and a lot of us are great fans of his. But the hero of the picture is this little boy here. He's about 3 feet in height. He's got dwarfism, motor disability, mild intellectual disability. And the reason I call him the hero of the picture is that he is representative of the hundreds and millions of stories of persons with disabilities that are often untold, go unnoticed. So when Bhairappa came in, he was rejected at 80 plus jobs, which is post that we got lucky. I haven't cropped this picture. So when he came in, was also the day Mr. Murthy came in, and Bhairappa was hired. So we gave him a t-shirt. We couldn't give him a slipper. When he came in barefoot. He did not even know the concept of brushing his teeth. Today, if you look at the graph, that arrow and what is written in green, can you read it? He's our team lead. He's leading our entire team at the Bangalore International Airport today. And that's Bhairappa for you. You see, when our team members with disabilities come in, okay? For all of y'all to see their abilities, for the community to see their abilities, that's the easier part. I'll tell you. You know what is the difficult part? It is to show them the mirror to their own abilities. After years of rejection, after years of being told they're not good enough, after years of bullying. Bhairappa, listen to this. Bhairappa once catches hold of me and he says, Didi, when I was born, my mother passed away. And the whole village labeled me as a child of ill omen. The reason for my mother passing away. Imagine that 1-day-old baby. He further tells me, because of this, I've not had a single friend all my life. He must have been around 30 years old when he said this sentence to me. I've not had a single friend all my life. Nobody from his village would let their children play with him. Now this Bhairappa, this chap, has got a job. He's become the boss. He's become the team lead. He's found friends. But he was told something even more painful. And you know what he was told? He was told, because of your disability, Bhairappa, nobody will ever love you. Ha, ha, ha. He heard that so many times over. Nobody will ever love you. Paisa ho na ho, whether we have money or not, love we all need, right? But don't be too sad. Then this happened. So I did get a chance to meet Mr. Premji, and I mentioned to him that Bhairappa was working in Mitti Cafe Infosys, and Rupa was working in Mitti Cafe Wipro. So this was an Infosys Wipro love story. So love has no boundaries, disability being minuscule. And yes, they got married. So Mitti Cafe has 50 plus love stories turned marriages, so it can also be called Cupid Cafe. COVID happened, and this is very important for all of y'all in your personal life, professional lives. There'll always be a time now when things are going up, and then you fall down. Right, to ground zero. And then what do you do? So 13 of our cafes, this is pre-COVID, went into hibernation, all within corporate tech parks, and all of them, hundreds of our team members with disabilities, we had to support. Thousands more who we had trained, who had lost their jobs, we had to support. So we raised some money, and we sent some money back into their bank accounts, that at least we'll have some time to think what do we do next. But much to our despair and difficulties, the challenge started then. We started getting calls and calls from all of those people who received money in their bank accounts while they were in their villages, saying, we don't want to sit back at home. Give us some work, any work. We don't want that money sitting and hope. We want to earn with dignity. So we thought, what do we need to do? While we were thinking about survival, one of our team members with intellectual disability, Hemant has cerebral palsy and autism. And generally, when we talk about people with intellectual disability or mental disability, what do we think? What do we think about them? What do we think? They are aimless. They don't know what they are saying. They don't know what they are doing. Pagal hai, in simple terms, right? Our experience with people with intellectual disabilities has been so different. So Hemant, this boy with autism, comes to us at the peak of COVID. And he tells us, listen to this, Didi log bhukhe hai, there are people who are hungry. Hame khana banana aata hai, we know how to cook. And look at his vision. We always say, we'll serve 100 meals, 1,00,000 meals, a crore meals. Always a number to the impact, and then we feel very good. This boy, Hemant, says, अगर हम खाना बनाएंगे कोई भूखा नहीं रहेगा, and he burst out into laughter. If we start cooking, nobody will stay hungry. We caught on to Hemant's vision. We started with a few hundred meals. Today, it gives me immense pride to say that our team members with disabilities, all of these amazing people that you see here, have served over 80 lakh meals to the economically vulnerable, thereby changing the paradigm that persons with disabilities given the right kind of support, can not just support themselves, they can support the nation and the world in need. So persons with intellectual disabilities, they may be slow, but they are perfectionists at what they do. And you know their biggest strength? What the world needs today from each one of us. And they have that naturally. They think from their heart, they say from their heart, they do from their heart. They just don't know any other way. So, as I mentioned, let's go back to our cafe shut and our team members with disabilities who are not happy sitting at home and getting money. Because of them, we realized, our cafes within corporates are shut, we'll have to pivot. So in your lives also, there'll be a situation when all your business plans fail. And then you'll have to redo it, and you can. If there is a sense of ownership, a sense of passion within the larger ecosystem that you've built. In our case, it was our team members with disabilities who really wanted to do something. So while we started Karuna meals, and we run it even today for people who cannot come to a Mitti Cafe goes to them, we realized that cafes within corporates are shut, we will start cafes within hospitals. We will start cafes within every place that's open today. So while we started Mitti Cafe at Sidecare Cancer Hospital, which was supported by a mentor of ours, the MD of Bangalore International Airport, amazing leader, Mr. Hari Marar, came to Sidecare Hospital, and in his own words, he told his team, hunt them down. I want them at Bangalore International Airport. And the day I remember when we got a call from BIAL, we were thinking, we had to reconfirm that BIAL means Bangalore International Airport Limited, and you'd want us, like we're this puny little NGO, all our cafes shut. We're looking at survival, and here we'll be at BIAL being able to create so much of impact, livelihood impact, and awareness. So we started one cafe in BIAL, then that happened. Then we came to 2 cafes, and then the 3rd cafe opened recently. This picture, then we got a call from the Mumbai International Airport. And all of these conjured by some energy out there who would support you if you put in effort and if your intentions are in the right place. This picture, it is only later that I realized the common thing in all of their faces. A very painful thing. All of you all are seeing smiles and laughter and everything positive. What I'll tell you is very painful. All of these people here, all of them, it is their first livelihood opportunity. After years of rejection, after years of being told. Caroline, disability rights activist for the last 2 decades. She's got cerebral palsy, can't hear and speak. Today, she's our assistant manager. Styrus on wheelchair. Today, he's our cashier. And all of these people, all of them today, they are deployed. It's been 2 years for them since that day. And the question remains, why? Why after so many years? Why did Mitti Cafe have to happen first? I've come back to this picture. While you all know the story of our Kirti, you all must also know the story of this 22-year-old who started with nothing. As I mentioned, 0 startup capital, multiple rejections. I did not even know what CapEx and OpEx is, Capital expenditure and operational expenditure. So a mentor asked me, what is your CapEx and what is your OpEx, Alina? I said, what is CapEx and OpEx, sir? So that's where I started Mitti Cafe from. Rejected from every place possible. And from there, this is where we are in today. And this is where we have come today. But from that small table and an umbrella, which was our cafe, and that dilapidated tin shed full of generations of rats, which became our kitchen, that the student community helped us clean. What is it that's worked out for us that has made this into this into this? What? Let me decode it for all of you all. We all glorify ideas, na? That it has to be a unique idea, blah, blah, blue, blue, otherwise it's not going to be a success, ha, 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 ha. Let me just break that down for you. Even if you have the most brilliant idea, there is always somebody in this world who must have thought about it. No idea is unique in this world. The difference is created, and listen to this ratio. This ratio is the magic ratio that will always work. 99% implementation and 1% the idea for success. 99% implementation, 1% the idea for success. You can have the simplest of idea and you can still, I remember outside my college there was this dosa bandi. And Anna used to sell the best dosas, Arvind Anna, the best dosas ever. And a few months later, a friend nudged me and she said that, you see this car there? And that was a Mercedes parked, just opposite to his dosa bandi. He's like, Arvind Anna, he drives this back every day. I was like, this is Arvind Anna's? So that's the thing. You can sell dosas, you can sell alus, you can sell pens. It can be the simplest of idea. The difference is created by the implementation. So 99% implementation, 1% the idea for success. Second, gende ka chamda, rhino skin. So I was rejected at every incubation center across the country till I got lucky with the supporters that we have today. And one thing that I realized, and I remember there was, I won't name the organization, but I was called, and we could pitch our idea. Like I am speaking in front of you today. I could speak in front of them a decade back when I had started Mitti Cafe. And there were 3 prominent judges. And at the end, we could fortunately or unfortunately see our scores. There was cash flow, there was sustainability, there was experience, and the last column was passion. 1 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Can you guess what they must have given me? 3 judges, the same score they gave me on passion. What could it be? You all should have been there. They gave me 1 out of 5, 1 being the lowest. And I went back home. I think that was the day I felt broken. That I didn't have money, okay, I didn't have experience, okay. But I had passion. That was the only guru, the only pride that I had. And I actually had passion. How did they not see it? And that was the day I had to decide whether I should shift base to Hubli or not. That was the day I had to decide whether I should do Mitti Cafe or not. When 3 people achieve so much in life, think this about you, about the idea, about your capability to do anything. And that gets me to the next point. Often, listen to this, often your heart is more intelligent than your head. And you will know when to listen to it. All the external battles, no money, no networks, all of that will get resolved. You don't know something, somebody else will know and will help you. But the most difficult battles are the ones within. And that can only be solved when you listen to your heart. And so glad that I did. The power of the community to grow exponentially. So when I started Mitti Cafe and I had nothing, right from the spoon, second-hand oven, fridge, that table, half umbrella, that flask, I borrowed an exercise book from someone. And I labeled TST, that pen was also borrowed from someone. So be shameless. When anybody tells you, don't be a despo in life, I would say be a despo in life. Desperation is the biggest asset that you can have. Desperation leads to creativity. Leads to a leech-like attitude, leads to shamelessness, all great assets for anyone to have in life. And that's what I held on to. Also, the community at large has compassion and courage. It is about believing in that and throwing yourself into that belief. And you will see magic happening. Second last, the belief in your people. And I cannot emphasize more on that. The belief in your people to grow exponentially. So today at Mitti, if anybody goes and asks who's the owner at Mitti, everyone's going to raise their hands. So when Sabiha came in, she has multiple sclerosis, very severe disability, no control on over her hands or her legs. You must be wondering what use is a Sabiha to Mitti Cafe. Kirti, she can sit on her wheelchair and she can, manage things with her hands. Sabiha, she can't, her hands and legs both shake. So we tried to put Sabiha in the kitchen and it was a flop. It didn't work out. Then we realized that Sabiha has got the gift of the gab. You know what that means? If you come in for a 10 rupees chai, she will talk you out of 50 rupees combo meal. And Sabiha doesn't work with Mitti Cafe anymore. She's become a bada admi. She's become a big shot now. She's outgrown us. She started her own kirana shop. She's deployed a person with Down syndrome, and today she's one of our vendors. Our atta chawal, our rice, our sugar comes from Sabiha's shop. So it is about the belief that you have in your people. Give them that sense of dignity, that sense of ownership. Be proud when they outgrow you and they will show you magic. Lastly, and a lot of people will not tell you this, but I will. How many of y'all have got self-confidence? Can I see a raise of hands? Self-confidence. How many of y'all have self-confidence? How many of y'all don't have self-confidence? So for those of y'all who think that I'm standing here and I have a lot of self-confidence, no, let me break that for you. Since the time, even before I started Mitti, post that, and even today, after the nth store that we've inaugurated, I always, before the next one, something is going to happen. Before coming here, I'm like, God, please help. So I don't have a lot of self-confidence. So if you all have, very good. But if you all are in my bracket, people who naturally lack a lot of confidence, the trick for you is, and this trick has worked for me, 0% self-confidence, 100% effort. Put in all your effort. Jaan laga do. Be adamant. Be ziddi. And 100% faith, you will still make it in life. 0% self-confidence, tie your camel, put in all the effort that you can, and have 100% faith. There is no way you can lose in life. Then, for the next few pictures that I show you, always remember that table and that half umbrella, which was our first cafe, open air. Can you all guess where this is? Post the airports, from where did we get a call? We got a call from the Supreme Court of India saying, why don't we have a Mitti Cafe at the Supreme Court of India, which was inaugurated by the Chief Justice of our country on his birthday. We had another visitor. Can you recognize her? The President of our country, she visited Mitti Cafe. Can you all guess where this place could be? And we got a call from her residence asking, why don't we have a Mitti Cafe at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which was inaugurated by none other than the President of India. In the history of the world, there has not been another cafe that has been inaugurated by the Chief Justice of our country and the President of our country. And we had another visitor. You'll recognize him. We had the Defense Minister inaugurating another cafe of ours. We had the Honorable Speaker of India coming to another cafe of ours. And while I say all of this, always remember that small table, that umbrella, that tin shed full of generations of rats, and what are the possibilities. And yes, we also started inside the Air Force. We had the Federal Chancellor of Germany visiting us, and this was a very funny story. So I was but 9 months pregnant then, and I get a call from the consulate of Germany saying that we'll have the Federal Chancellor visiting you all. And we, much to our ignorance, we thought that maybe he is some very high-level official coming from the consulate. And the next day, India Coffee House, where we have our specialty coffee, our Mitti Cafe inside India Coffee House, that shut down. The road shut down, the army came in, the Commissioner of Police was in our cafe, and we were like, what's happening? So it was her Olaf Scholz, who's the Federal Chancellor of Germany. After meeting the President of India, the Prime Minister of India, he came to Bangalore, and his first stop was Mitti Cafe. So anything is possible. So, as a woman entrepreneur, and like many women, we face something similar story. So when I started my journey, I went to a lot of investors, and I got asked a very common question that now you're just out of college, all energetic, hunky-dory, jumpy. But what when you get married? What when you have children? I didn't have an answer to them then because I was not married to this amazing person that I'm married to now, Sadiq. I didn't have children then. And I did lose out on those checks, which I really needed then. Fast forward, I have an answer to them today. Yes, I did get married to this amazing person, my husband, who believes in equity, who believes in my dream perhaps more than he believes in his. So the ecosystem is extremely important. And we talk about gender stereotypes, prejudices. It doesn't affect one gender, it affects everyone, every gender. So if one gender is pulled back, the other gender will also be pulled back. And fortunately, I have been married to this amazing person who believes that every individual deserves to live their dream. So I was 8 months pregnant then, and I got a call from the United Nations, and they had mentioned that they would want me to be a speaker in one of their events in Morocco, which was a 36-hour-long flight from India with all the stopovers. And I went to my gynac, and I mentioned to her that I have to go for this trip, and I want a fit-to-fly certificate. So she said, okay, I'll give you a fit-to-fly. And she gave me and then when I looked at it, it said not fit-to-fly. She's like, now you go and see. That was her reaction. When I went back home, Sadiq, he asked me, Alina, you really want to go for this? And I think you should. And I went for it. Never did he once tell me that, Alina, if you go and if something happens on the flight or below, you will be responsible because it's your life. It was always about us, and that's the ecosystem that every gender can promote. There are millions out there who's, your sisters, your mothers, your grandmothers, your daughters, whose dreams are probably buried somewhere because they can't even dare to speak about it. But the magic can happen if each one of us supports the other. And yes, to those investors, so I did go, so when I was pregnant, I did travel, and afterwards, I did become a mother. And an answer to those investors today is, being a mother has made me so much stronger in every aspect of life, including being an entrepreneur. And I can write that for anyone. As you can see, that's the gentleman in the middle who's holding on to my firstborn. I don't even know him. He's not someone known to me. And yet, he's babysitting little Orhan. Orhan and I have taken over 300 flights, and he's about 2 years old. The younger one is also traveling with me now, since he's born 3 months back. So nothing can stop you if you have adamance and faith in place. Lastly, when we talk about change, we talk about hunger in millions, poverty in millions, violence in millions, unreported cases in millions. We've all gone through lockdowns, right? Because of COVID. Imagine persons with disabilities are kept in a lockdown for an entire lifetime because of inaccessible infrastructure, inaccessible attitudes, inaccessible perspectives, lack of livelihood opportunities, lack of friends, lack of love. And here we are at a point of privilege. So there was a high tide, and this story was told to me by a little girl about 8 years old, when I was thinking that, when you talk about numbers in millions, what difference will it make if I do something? And the answer to that is this one story. There was a high tide, and there were millions of starfishes on the seashore dying. There was a young girl picking up one starfish, throwing it into the water, the other starfish throwing it into the water, and a wise man, a wise man in inverted commas, comes and asks her, young girl, what are you doing? She continues to do what she's doing. This time he asks her more assertively, young girl, what are you doing? What difference does it make? The shore is full of millions of starfishes dying, and here you are picking up one starfish, throwing it into the water. Is this some kind of a game, a joke? You know what she did? has changed my perception about change, and I hope it changes yours too. So she picks up this one starfish and she throws it back into the water, and she tells the wise man that it made a difference to that one. So for me, my first starfish was Kirti. And every day it is the hunger, the thirst to reach out to the billion starfish across the world for whom economic independence and dignity is not yet a reality. You know, we all glorify social work now. We'll do this for this person, that for that person. Let's replace social work with social duty. And you'll see the world differently. You'll see your purpose of coming into this world differently. There are millions of young girl children out there who would never be able to go to school because of their gender. Millions who would never be able to see daylight from the womb because of their gender. Millions who are left on the road by their children after years of taking care of them. Millions out there who are suffering in silence, who are kept in a lockdown for an entire lifetime. And here all of us are at a point of privilege. It is a debt that we have to pay back to the society. Udhar. Probably our entire life goes. And that debt, from everything that we've received from the community, from our family, from our friends, from our school, college, from God, can never be repaid for the privileges that we have. But life is about doing whatever you can to come close to repaying that debt. And as one of my favorite poets says, and I'll translate it, he says, मेरे सीने में नहीं तो तेरे सीने में सही हो कहीं भी आग लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए, which means all of us will die someday. But irrespective of whether we live or die, do that one bit for that one Kirti. Inspire just that one more person beside you to join wagon. And the world will change for what it should be. And the power, the magic to do that. So when we say Mitti Cafe and with the tagline magic of abilities, it's not just about the magic of abilities in our wonderful team members with disabilities. It screams of the magic of abilities that lies within each one of y'all to bring about a change. Compassion and courage are two weapons that can eradicate any problem that our world faces today. And y'all friends have that naturally in plenty. Use it. And the world will change for what it should be. And the power, the magic to do that lies in each one of you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This standing ovation is for all of those heroes on the field who really bring about the difference. I think I'm the most irrelevant person at Mitti Cafe today. I can come here and do all these amazing things because people out there, they own this cause. So it is always a participatory approach to development that will work, a sense of ownership that will work. And thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you.